Hi everyone, welcome to Crafting with a Cocktail, where we make crafts and cocktails. In today's segment, I am super proud to bring you this Hispanic Heritage Month collab with a bunch of my Latina YouTubers here on YouTube. And so I'm gonna leave the playlist link down for you below for you to check out all the fabulous things they're going to create inspired by their culture and heritage as well. If you've watched this before, or my channel I should say, you know that I am 50% Chilean. My mom is born and raised in Chile, and so that's what is going to inspire us for today's video. Don't have a cocktail, I'm just pouring out my favorite Chilean Cabernet. So cheers, and let's get started. Bienvenidos a todos mis amigos y familia que hablan español. Welcome to my channel, all my Spanish-speaking friends and family. I'm so excited about these polymer clay earrings that I made inspired by the colors of Chile and the mountains. So I'm starting out with just some Sculpey polymer oven-baked clay, and I'm just softening it by smushing it between my fingers several times before being able to roll it out. Now this is the set I use that I pick up at Walmart. I'll link it below if I can find it online, but yeah, that's the one I use. It was actually super moldable. You know, sometimes you get polymer clay and it's very difficult to work with. This was super easy. I'm using a fondant roller as well as a fondant silicone sheet. So these are all actually used for making cakes and pastries and things like that, but I'll link these for you below as well. I got them from AliExpress, which is one of my favorite places to get craft supplies from. I am rolling it out to the thickness that I want, and now there's a magical sandwich here that my honey brought for me. Thank you. And then I'm using some mini cookie cutters to get the heart shape, which will be the top part of my earring. These little mini cookie cutters were from Dollar General, and I think they were only like maybe $3 or something like that, but it comes with a bunch of different ones, so I recommend checking them out too for some of your crafting needs. Now I am rejoining that piece of clay, then flattening it out again to the same thickness, which I can measure by those little rubber bands on the edges of my rolling pin. And I wanted kind of a larger teardrop shape, and since I only had the mini cookie cutters, I didn't have a larger teardrop shape. There was a tiny one, but I wanted one a little bigger, so I'm just using these clay tools that came in the Sculpey clay set to make my teardrop shape. Make one, then move it over and trace it again with the knife as well. I'm just going to smooth those babies out a little bit before making some holes. Now, one of my tools does have kind of like a pointed end to it that makes a hole and then a little bit of a wider mark. I will say that off camera, I did end up having to also go in with like a toothpick and widening the hole, because although the way that it was shaped was kind of like a cone and the hole was wider at the top, it still just left a little teeny tiny hole which would not be big enough for a jump ring to fit through. So off camera, like I said, I took a toothpick, I actually broke it in half and just kind of like swirled around the broken piece of the toothpick. Now I'm popping mine in the oven at 275 for 10 to 15 minutes because that's what my polymer clay instructions said. Follow whatever package you use. I just lined a baking sheet, or a baking pan, excuse me, with tin foil, set them on there, and then bake them. For these ones particularly, I think I baked them like 11-ish minutes. And hello from my Chilean oven mitt that I think my mom got for me. I don't think I got that one myself. And I'm pulling the polymer clay out from the oven. Now, once they are nice and cool, I can start painting them. Now, I could have made my hearts with red polymer clay. That would have been a great idea. That's not what I was thinking about originally, because I was thinking about maybe painting the hearts multiple colors, but then ended up going with just plain red. So I'm using my Plaid Craft paints here and Mod Podge to paint my images on my polymer clay creations. So I'm just going in with some red, and I do end up doing, I believe, 3 coats of each color on the sides of the front, and I think I just did 1 coat on the back because I figured no one's going to see it anyways. I'm going in with a navy blue to create somewhat of a mountain image on both of my earrings as well. They're not perfectly symmetrical, they both look similar, but that doesn't bother me because that's just that beautiful handmade touch. So I'm using that navy blue, going in, and again I did about 3 coats of this color on here. once all my base coats are nice and dry, I'm going in with a little bit of white paint and just creating some details on the mountains to make them look a little bit more realistic. And so I'm just first wetting my area again, because I do want the white to blend with the blue a little bit. So I'm going over with one last bit of the navy blue and then going directly into the white paint. I'm not rinsing my brush. And I'm just creating some little, I guess not shadows, maybe like snow caps to give it some more definition and make these mountains look a little bit more realistic by giving some dimension that some are in front, some are in back. Now the final step in the painting process is to coat it with some glossy Mod Podge. You could use matte. I'm really liking the glossy lately, so I just do one nice even coat on the front and the sides of this glossy Mod Podge. Again, I am a plaid ambassador, so I'm really proud to be showing you these using the Plaid Crafts supplies today. Make sure that your glossy Mod Podge is completely dry before you start adding any of the hardware to your earrings, because it could scratch and peel up some of the paint as well. I do want to show you here that I did try to connect my pieces off camera for a minute, and I realized that it was a little tight, so I'm just sanding down the very bottom edge of my heart and the very tip of my teardrop to make sure that there's enough room for the jump ring to fit in both comfortably without being super tight and unable to move. So keep that in mind when you're creating. I should have thought about this ahead of time, but lesson learned. That's what I'm doing here, is just sanding it down. I then repainted it, recoated it, all that good stuff. Felt like you didn't need to see all of those extra steps. Now I'm connecting the two pieces with some needle nose pliers and a just silver jump ring. I believe I picked up this pack. It's like a multi-size pack from Walmart. I can't remember because it's been a while, but I really think I bought them at Walmart. I will say be gentle with this. I did have one crack previously. And that was because I was anchoring the earring on the jump ring as opposed to really relying on the needle nose pliers. So just be gentle with this, but I had no problem this time around, just trying to stick them all together. And as you can see, since I sanded them down, they have a little bit of wiggle room. They're not just stuck stiff in between that jump ring. So take your time with this and just be careful. Now, I do have the back posts for the earrings that I bought at Michael's, and it's just a silver post for the back of the earrings, and I'm going to secure them with some Gorilla Glue. I find that Gorilla Glue is like the ultimate super glue, so that's what I'm doing here, is I'm just going to secure them onto the back. I also didn't particularly love that the back kind of has some of those blue splatters of paint. I thought that might look yucky in the back. Of course, I did the hearts red, but the back of the earrings on the bottom half are mixed colors. So I do end up putting about 2 coats of white paint there, just so you know, so it doesn't look quite as messy. I absolutely love how these earrings turned out even better than I expected. This is, I think, my first pair of polymer clay earrings, and I've been admiring different Instagram accounts for a while, so I'm really in love with how they turned out. Next up is this Chile crew neck sweatshirt. This is super easy, and to be honest, I didn't quite end up finishing it in time for this video, but I will post it once it's totally done on my Instagram page. I still wanted to include it because I think it's a really good idea. It's a great way to show pride for wherever your family comes from, and or just to make any sort of wearable DIY. You could write anything. I chose to write Chile because that's where my family is from, so I'm just kind of freehanding the letters here. Now, you should, if your handiwork is a little shaky, I recommend using a ruler. I'm kind of eyeballing it and then later kind of regretting it, but I fixed it up in the end. I just took the long way route because I thought this would be a shortcut. And it turned out when I tried cutting it is a little crooked. So you could totally use a ruler, make sure everything's nice and even from the get-go. That's a great idea. I'm just writing these all out, and then I'm going to end up cutting them out. See, look, here I'm like, oh, I should probably use a straight edge. Anyways. You're gonna just write out whatever word or picture you plan on having on your sweatshirt on a piece of paper before cutting it out. Now, something that I learned while cutting mine out is, again, that my lines weren't straight. So I'm just going to show you a technique where you can fold the edge to make sure you have a nice, crisp, straight edge. So all I'm doing is folding my paper over, making sure that the edges line up with the paper because that's obviously already straight, and then folding it, and it makes a nice straight line. Now, I have to do this for every time the straight line, so I did it for the edge of the I, and now I'm doing it for the edge of the L, but that way, at least I know that when I'm cutting it, I'm not going to get a wobbly line. It's going to be nice and straight. I also wanted to mention that you could totally print out letters, and that way you don't have to worry about freehanding it, and you could also use your Cricut and do it that way. I just wanted to make this as basic as possible for people who may not have all those materials. So I'm just writing it all out by hand and cutting it. Before I forget, I want to mention again that there's a playlist linked in my description down below for other creators who are Latina and also on YouTube. I am really proud to be Latina and proud of my Chilean culture and heritage and all that I've learned from my mom and her family as well. So les invito para mirar todos los videos que están incluidos en este collab. No sé cómo se dice. But in this collab, I invite you all to go check it out in my description down below. Now I am flipping my letters over so that they are backwards. This is important. They are backwards on the back of my chosen fabric. I just picked up some little, I don't know what they're called, fat squares or whatever from Walmart, and I'm just tracing my letters on there backwards before cutting them out. They have to be backwards on the back of the fabric so that when you flip them over, you don't see marker on the brighter side of the pattern. So one by one, I'm just going through, doing my letters, making sure that they are backwards, and then I'm going to cut them out. You could cut these out with scissors or a rotary blade like I did, which I'll show you in just a minute. I ended up using a combination of both just because I'm not super comfortable with my rotary blade yet, and I'm nervous about cutting round areas and small areas and things like that. If these types of videos are interesting to you where we try to incorporate culture and our heritage, I'll leave a few other videos linked down for you below. I also did a Latinas Hop back in June of 2021, and I hope to do a Hispanic Heritage Month celebration each September, as Hispanic Heritage Month starts September 15th with lots of different countries who are celebrating their Independence Days, including Chile on September 18th. So check that out for sure, and I will be having a multicultural holiday DIY challenge open invite coming up sometime soon. I did one last year, and I'm super excited to be doing it again this year. I've already got my co-host lined up and everything, so keep your eyes out for that. So you can celebrate any culture, any heritage. Doesn't have to just be Latina or Latino. Now it's time to place my letters on my sweatshirt. I just picked up this sweatshirt at Walmart for I think like $8 in the men's section. It's a size medium. They were out of smalls, but that's okay. I'm all about the baggy sweatshirts because they're cozy and great for a movie night in or when you just want to lounge around. So I'm just placing them where I want them to be and also trying to make sure they are centered and evened out correctly. Now I don't show the whole clip, but I did move them around quite a few times to make sure they were in the correct places. Now the final steps after this would be to either use that kind of fabric papery adhesive where you iron the letters onto this paper, then iron it onto the sweatshirt here, or to pin and sew it all. I did not have time for any of that before needing to edit and upload, but I really wanted to include this because I absolutely love how it turned out and I can't wait for it to be finished. And I wanted to inspire people that this is a great way to make your own wearable DIY of showing off something you like or something you're proud of, as I am proud of being Chilean. So I really hope you enjoy these DIYs and check out everybody's videos in the playlist. And I'll see you guys next time. Nos vemos. Ciao.